Hello, Patty here, the country wife from Vermont, now living in South Carolina. Today is an absolutely glorious day outside. I don't know what the temperature is, but it's very warm and comfy and a beautiful sun, though a lot of around the horizon there's a big bowl of clouds as if we're going to have rain. It's been an interesting week. Just say I've told you about the continuous glucose monitor that I wear on my arm. Well, it just so happens that this week, Tuesday morning at 2:50 a.m., I was awakened from a sound sleep with multiple beeps, and it said that my blood sugar was 53. In case you don't know, that's very low. I had not had that happen before, and that made me feel a little bit nervous. And I thought, well, there you go, because I know that low blood sugar can be a problem. And I thought, well, if I'm gonna bite the big one, I'm not gonna do it lying down. So I got out of bed and I went in and do what everybody does. I went to Google and said, what to do for very low blood sugar at home. And I read the things and I realized, you can go into convulsions if you don't get it taken care of. You can go into a coma. You can actually bite the big one. So I needed to do something, and they had a variety of suggestions. Most of them were use a glucagon gun, which I don't have. Anyway, there were a bunch of things, have some orange juice and drink it in 15 minutes. If your blood sugar is still low, have some more, or have something else, some other things. Anyway, I can't remember what they were, but anyway, what I did was, since I didn't have any juice of any kind, I didn't want to drink Coke because I don't like it, though that would work. I ate some dry fruit and seeds and nuts, not granola, what is it called? Trail mix. And I began to feel a little bit better. I didn't think about it at that point, but a little bit later I said, oh, well, let me check my finger stick and see if this machine is telling me the truth. Well, anyway, I did. And my finger stick was not that low. So I said, okay, well, I'm certainly fine. But anyway, it was hours before I was able to go back to bed or back to sleep. So I did some productive things. Anyway, and since then, I've had multiple other low blood sugar alarms, and I've talked with the manufacturer, and they're sending me a new one because they did have a batch of them that were not good, but mine is not in there. But they want to have it back so they can investigate what the problem is. Because of course, if you think you have very low blood sugar and you pump yourself full of sugar to increase your blood sugar, and you really don't have very low blood sugar, that can cause problems too with high blood sugar. So anyway, that's the big news this week. They're going to send a box to pick up the little glucose monitor and send me a new one. So as far as organization, which we're almost to April, which is when I started this podcast last year, and it was going to be for health improvement, organization improvement, and handwork stuff. Well, mostly it's been handwork stuff that we've talked about over the year. But today I have some organization successes. The table has been wonderfully clean. I actually have woven placemats. So we have quite a few now, placemats. I bet we've got a dozen or more placemats. And so I put a clean placemat down, and if we make a mess of it, I take them off the table and take them upstairs and wash them. But the next meal, I put down a fresh one. But I don't leave the placemats on the table because it makes my soul happy to see an empty table and a clean table. Very nice. This morning, I woke up at 5:12 a.m., if you can believe it. Today's the day when we have our handwork group here, and I knew there was going to be at least one person who hadn't been here before, and I didn't want her to die of shock coming into house, because I'm sure her house is perfectly wonderful and clean and tidy and everything. So I said, okay, well, I'll finish my morning routine with my scriptures and my family search stuff and my Duolingo. And then I came downstairs after bathing and getting dressed, and by 6:30 I was working in the kitchen. And I emptied off the island, taking care of stuff. And then I realized that the beautiful booze board, cutting board that I have was very dry. I was going to move it to the island, which was now empty, even though it was not ideally clean. I need to now, actually, now that it's empty, I can clean it. Except now I've put the booze board on there. But it was very dry. I had not treated it with oil for months. And it just so happened that the bottle of oil was right there. And I had a whole bunch of my nice woven cloths that I'd made for the kitchen. And I used one of them, and I oiled one side very well and all the edges, flipped it over, oiled the other side, then flipped it back to the first side and oiled that again. And then the nice wooden bowl, very expensive bowl, it cost about as much as the booze board, was dry also. So I oiled that, and now that's happily sitting in the middle of the island, and it looks beautiful to have it there. And I emptied off almost all the other stuff that was on that counter. And so to the right of the sink, we've got an empty counter except for the stuff against the wall, which also needs to be taken care of, but I haven't found a place for it yet. And then the left side of the sink, where I've been putting clean dishes as I wash them every meal, I took those towels, so all the dirty towels and placemats, I moved upstairs and put them in the washing machine, and actually right now they're sitting in the washing machine waiting for me to move them to the dryer. Anyway, moving on from that, so now that was very nice to have that empty. I took a picture of it and sent it to our daughter, knowing that it would surprise her greatly, because when she and her family were here at Christmas time, it didn't look like that. And now it does look nice. So that organization was a plus. I just need to hold the line on keeping it that way. And I think I can do it. Pray for me that I can do it, because it would be nice to keep it nice. Okay, so now let's move on to handwork. There's not been a whole lot completed this week, but there is one thing that I did complete. I'm making the Barocco's vintage cable craze blanket. I think that's what the pattern, I think that's what it's called. I'll put it in the show notes. I finished the first one of the blankets. They're supposed to be about 16 inches square. Well, with cables, I have not blocked this. You can see in a second that I haven't blocked it, but I think it's going to be nice. There's going to be 12 different patterns. So the back, doesn't look like anything, but the front, this cable batch, I had a few missteps, but I decided to leave them. I don't think it's going to matter. This is a blanket. It doesn't have to fit anybody. And anyway, so this is done, and this is using Premier Yarns. I think it's called Stitch Please, and it is superwash wool. I want to have wool blankets, but this is going to my granddaughter, who has 2+ little boys. A new baby is coming next month. or soon anyway. In the next month or two, she's having the new baby. And so a blanket that can be washed needs to happen and not be washed by hand. I just know that would be a bad thing. Well, it would make more work for her, and I don't want her to do that. So there's finished object number one. The next finished object is a different sort of thing. It has to do with handwork, but it isn't handwork. The lady that was coming to our house to knit today hadn't done any knitting for a long time. I mean, decades. And so she was relearning how to knit. And my friend who was here, who comes every week, sat beside her on the couch, and they really got it together. Well, she wanted to make a shawl to wear in the temple when she was cold. And earlier in the week, she told me that. And so I made some samples. And I did something that I have made samples for shawls for people over the last 30 or 40 years, multiple times, so they could see what they were. But then I'd toss them out, or they'd get lost. And so I didn't have them. So this time I said, okay, I'm smarter now. At 75, I need to be smarter about everything. And so I made a book. So here is the first one. It's a triangular shawl. You can see it. It has a nice stitch down the middle. It's an easy shawl. It is, I can't tell you what, I think it's Outlander inspired. And it's meant to be, this particular pattern is meant to be for an 18-inch doll, American Beauty doll or American Girl doll. But you just knit until it's the size you want. So I made that one and I put it in the binder. Then I have another one. You can't really tell. I'll pull it out. This is called I don't know what it's called. It's a piece, knit for peace or something. It's a self-fringing pattern. It's a free pattern from whoever gave it to my friend. Rochelle is the one who gave me the pattern. And you knit one of these shawls, and it looks kind of crazy. This is supposed to be, it's stockinette stitch, and the reverse side is the stitch. So you put it over your shoulders, and you've got this nice, see how you've got this nice little like shawl collar, and then you've got all these things. So the pattern, I'll tell you just briefly, I can't tell you precisely what it is, but you cast on, it says you cast on 7 stitches, you purl across, then you knit 1, increase in the next stitch by knitting into the front and the back, place a marker, and then knit 5. Now, the knitting 5 is where the fringe comes from. So every time you come to the marker, you're either knitting or purling. On the knit side, you increase, and I'm pretty sure you don't increase on the purl side. No, you don't increase on the purl side. But you keep going until it's at least, they wanted you to have it be at least 27 inches long at the point. And then once you've finished and you've bound off, because you're going to go for a while, and then you're going to start decreasing. And when you get to the decreasing part, that was this end. I left the long one there. Then when the decreasing is done, then you carefully take these 5 stitches off, and they're little loops, and you cut the loops, and you've got this fringe. I think it's very cool. I'm not sure that I would make one for myself, but a lot of people do. These Knit for Peace people make it for a lot of African ladies and say they really love the fringe and they would like to have bright colored shawls. So I think that's a fun thing. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is the Wrap Me Easy shawl. And it's found on Ravelry. And I made one. I do not have wonderful tension in my knitting. When I'm doing stockinette stitches in the flat, you can really tell, and it's very unpleasant. I'm going to show you later. But I thought, well, I bet I could make this same wrap, which has, this goes over the shoulders, so it's flat across the back. You don't have the point. And I made it in garter stitch. And yes, you can do it. And it looks perfectly fine. So then I made one with stocking stitch. And you can already see, you can see how rowing out, I am just so bad at stocking stitch in the round, in the flat, rows out terribly. Well, I've seen it worse, but you can see from the back side also how it's rowing out on the front. Well, Mary told me today, because I knit continental, and she said, I don't have any problem at all with rowing out, and I knit English. She says you might try going ahead and knitting continental, but purling English. It never occurred to me to do that. But I have to say, whoa, Nellie, let's not drop that thing over. I started doing, you can see the rowing out, doesn't look good. But down here at the bottom, I have started doing that. And I'm not entirely sure, because I've only done, 5, maybe 4, 5, 6 rows. But it looks to me like it's better. So I am now, though I'm terribly awkward at doing the purling English style, and so it was very nice for our friend to see that our friend that was knitting with us and learning again after all these years, that someone who's been doing a lot of knitting over many, many years still has trouble, and it was very awkward at the thing. So there's that. That's another work in progress. I'm not likely to finish that anytime soon because other things have come up. I maybe last week told you, I'm pretty sure I told you that I stopped the big blanket I was making for one of our granddaughters. It was knit because it was just too taxing on my hands and arms. So I started doing this pattern. It's called Lavinia's, Lavinia's something or other. Lavinia's Blossom Baby Blanket. And I cast on 184 stitches, and so far this is where I've gotten. I've got to finish this row and then one more row, and then I'm going to change colors and do something different for colors. I think I'm going to have a big stretch of a creamy color, and then we'll see. I may adapt, put more different colors in, but we'll see. You never know. Random is no problem for me, but I'm going to have it be the same kind of yarn. Okay, let me see. Next thing that I started, I'm pretty sure, yes, I'm pretty sure I have shown you this washcloth. This is Quilt Block dishcloths on Ravelry, and this is a Churn Dash one, and you can see there's a design element in there, and this turns out to be, because I'm using worsted weight yarn, it's about 10 1/4 inches square, and I cast on the next one, and I'm really just barely started. But this one is going to be a star, and I'm pretty happy with that. And it looks to me, okay, here we go, I'll show you. So these are size 8 needles. I guess that I usually use a size 6 for mosaic knitting. But this was the size 8 that I had, and that's what I'm gonna use. And it'll be just fine for a washcloth. So there's that and that. Oh my goodness. Oh. So this is the pattern. It's called Quilt Block Dishcloths by Fogbound Knits. And so I'm only doing 2. I was gonna do this one, but then I decided, no, what the heck, I'm gonna do the star. So I'm doing the star. I might make another one, I don't know. We'll see how far I get and how soon, because I want to move these, since the hand towels are made and sitting right here beside me waiting. I would just as soon get those to their recipient sooner rather than later. Okay, one more handwork thing. Last night I went to Relief Society, which is the women's organization in our church. They were having an activity. They called it a Galentine's activity, which I've seen that before, and I thought, oh, well, there you go. Isn't that cute? I sat at the table with some beautiful sisters, and one of them said that she asked me if I crocheted. I said yes, because I was sitting there knitting on this shawl. And I said, yes, I do. And she said, I've made granny squares, but I don't know how to put them together. And I said, I do, because I did make, last year, I made a granny square blanket, and I used Hooked by Robin's continuous join as you go pattern. And I said, I'll let you know but it's Hooked by Robin, and I'll send you a text. Well, this morning I did send her mom the text with that page, and I'll put it in the show notes too, in case someone else is interested. So I sat there this morning. Did I already say I woke up at 5:12? Yeah, I did. Before I came downstairs, I made three little itty bitty granny squares, just 2 round granny squares. And then I started to remind myself of how to do this. So this is how you start in the bottom right corner. You lay out your squares in the pattern you want them to be in. I just happen to make these all the same. And then you start here, and you go up here, go around there, down here, and over here. At this point, instead of making a full corner, because this is a full corner, and my corners I only put in 1 stitch. Robin puts 3 stitches in her corners, and there's good reasons for that, but I haven't lately, and so I'm still doing it like this. So then you get down here, and instead of doing the corner to go around this way, you're going to leave this blank. You're going to put in your chain 1 for me, but chain 3 for Robin, and do half a corner here, and then is this where? Yeah, somewhere we're doing. Is this where we're doing it? Yes, and you do. So you've come down here, and you go across, do this one, and then in this space you do a slip stitch. Then you go back over here to do your granny cluster. Then here you're going to do a slip stitch, and then you go up here and you put a full corner here, and you don't attach them. You leave those free. Go across, go down, and then and do the same thing over here, and as many squares as you've got, you leave the corner stitch free, and then you come over here and you put in the cluster and slip stitch, cluster, slip stitch, cluster, granny, corner cluster, and then let me think. I think you're only supposed to go this far. I think I went down too far. But then you have another row of squares here, and so you pick up along the bottom of the first one, and when you come to this corner, you leave this corner alone because you're doing the corner in the one that's up above, but you chain one, slip stitch, chain one in this diagonal corner, and then move on across the bottom. Anyway, that's just to show you a little bit of something that I made as a little sample. I was going to take it over to them today, but I haven't gotten there. And I will put that video in the show notes. Finally, as part of the organization, we had a nice wicker lounge on the front porch with cushions. It was very nice, but it was too wide for me to sit in it comfortably. I needed to get more cushions behind my back. Anyway, I couldn't sit on it. And for my husband now, it was too low and uncomfortable for him. So I put on our Relief Society Facebook page a couple of days ago, or maybe yesterday actually, I put a picture of it and said, we've got this to give away. 3 people were interested. Hallelujah. And I talked with 2 of them, and one of them has it. I delivered it today. And once I delivered it because we have this wonderful little pickup truck, and we got it done. So since I was out, and since lately I've been doing a whole bunch of fiber things, I noticed a bunch of people that do spinning prepare their own fleece, and they flick locks open. And so what you do is you have something, an apron, and I noticed that some of them had a nice leather apron. And I went over to, I saw online that good old All-American Harbor Freight has these welding aprons, and I got it. It smells kind of nasty, but you know, anyway, it's leather, and I'll be able to put it on my lap and flick the, I'll do it wrong side out because this has pockets in it. Now I love pockets. Everybody knows I love pockets. That's why I wear this Japanese utility apron. But this doesn't have pockets on this side, so I put that in my lap and I can flick and not damage my clothes. I'm thrilled about that. And it was only like 15 bucks. So that was good. And the final thing was that I was going to get, I have a metal music stand that I have beside me at my 2 handwork chairs, and I have my patterns sitting there, but the patterns frequently fall off, or they do fall off, but I have this little magnetic strip from some little thing that you hold out. And anyway, okay, here I am again. I had a iPhone storage issue, which closed the last video before I was done. I'll tell you very quickly. I was telling you about the magnet bar that I got from Harbor Freight. It works extremely well on my metal music stand to hold my knitting patterns on. In fact, it takes a significant amount of my energy to get it off the music stand, to position the paperwork. So I'm going to have to think about it before I do it. So that is all the news for today. Thank you for watching, and feel free to post comments or subscribe or whatever you would like to do. I'll say, as I say every time, do good, be good. Let's do it now together. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time. Bye now.